This COVID's not going away. And the economy is crashing, and they haven't started to print money yet.
And I will be buying more gold and silver. Before this is over, gold and silver are going to go up a lot because throughout history, when people lose confidence in governments or money, they always buy gold and silver. Whether we like it or not.
So I think by 3 years, there'll be mass adoption. By 5 years, there'll be no cash.
Question is, what do you jump into when you jump off the train? And the issue is, you can't jump into cash. Cash is trash.
They also changed monetary policy and fiscal policy. So we've seen in this crisis, monetary policy doesn't work any longer. But you need to get money into different people's hands.
There are 3 monetary systems that happen. The first is, in the old days, it had intrinsic value. You'd carry around gold coins. Then we come up with the idea of banks or even central banks. And what they do is they create certificates, we call notes, that are claims on those things. And we print many more certificates than there is money in the bank. And then that's a linked system. And so we did that, and we broke that in 1971. Then you have a fiat monetary system, which means that you can print whatever amount of money you want. And you can put that, and that's what governments do. So we're in that part of the cycle, bigger picture, so that when you think about things, the depreciation of the exchange rate and the printing of money, I think over the next few years is going to be the biggest.
The existing banking system extracts enormous value from society, and it is parasitic in nature.
Money is a catalyst for the worst and the best of human endeavor.
Currency is a language that allows us to express transactional value between people. It's technology that's older than the wheel. It's as old as fire.
World War II devastated nearly every major economy, except the United States. The military and industrial juggernaut emerged as the global financial superpower. The dollar had become the world's most stable and trusted currency. Other countries pegged their currency to the dollar, which could still be redeemed for gold. In fact, the US owned more than half of the world's gold reserves. In the next few decades, more dollars flowed to foreign countries. Governments began debasing their coins with cheaper metals and printing more of their own currency than they had in gold. The bond between precious metals and paper currency was cracking.
In 1964, the silver coins used to be pure silver. And then in 64, the US government, they turned to copper or something. And so the coins were a different color. And so I'm a young boy going, why are they doing this to our money? But this has happened throughout history. It's called debasing the metal.
This is a 1966 50-cent piece. It was the last coin in regular circulation in Australia to contain silver. It contains 80% silver. So in 1966, this was 50 cents. Nowadays, it's $8 roughly in silver alone.
I saw the US government, like I'm 16, 17 years old, changing our money. I started taking real silver coins out of circulation, and I'd take the fake silver coins and give it back to the bank.
By 1966, foreign nations had had enough of the US collecting gold and printing cash. And they had more value in dollars than the US had bullion in its vaults. They demanded gold in return for their paper dollars. Arguments about the value of the dollar versus their currency ensued. In 1971, President Nixon settled the matter. He severed United States currency from the gold standard.
What happened in 1971 is crucial. In 1971, the US dollar stopped being money. In 1971, the US dollar became a currency. And what that meant is Richard Nixon, in 1971, the president, took us off the gold standard.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
Never again could anyone legally demand U.S. government gold in exchange for paper dollars. For better or worse, the dollar was now backed solely by the full faith and credit of the United States government. The wealthiest nation the world had ever known would bet its future on a single word: trust.
The counterparty risk of the dollar, the US dollar or any money, the yen or the peso, is you have to trust your government. If you trust your government, knock yourself out, man. Save all the money you can as a screw you.
And then you ask, what value do these currencies have? If you go into a primary school, you'll see children exchanging rubber bands and Tamagotchi and Pokemon cards and baseball cards and sweets and candy and any other form of currency. People invent currency when they have no other currency. And now they're going to invent digital currencies.
Bitcoin is digital currency and computer software. Capital B Bitcoin is the shared code that creates a global payment network using computers connected to the internet. Bitcoins are virtual currency, digital money created, stored, and exchanged on that network. But unlike virtual dollars created by a banker, this new currency was created with math by an anonymous inventor. Bitcoin is an open-source software protocol like much of the code supporting the internet and email. Open source means anyone, everyone can use the protocol. No one person or company can control it. Every change to the software is public, open, and transparent. The code was first developed by Satoshi. Then there were dozens, now hundreds, of programmers constantly collaborating to improve Bitcoin's features and security. So what makes Bitcoin a breakthrough? It tackles an ancient human dilemma and solves a computer science problem. Any shared information or data can be flawed, corrupted. Anything can be faked. How do we know that what we're receiving can be trusted?
The ledger, which cannot be forged, it cannot be changed, and is universally accepted, is genius. There will be Bitcoin technology forever, and it'll have applications for years to come.
Creating a secure global payment system may just be the beginning. Patents, contracts, land titles, proof of ownership can be baked into Bitcoin, securely held in the public ledger.
If you think of Bitcoin as a platform instead of a currency, then you really begin to see the potential it has.
I read up more about Bitcoin, I played with the source code, I built some things that I realized this is actually a very, very powerful protocol. It's not just a currency, but it's actually programmable money.
What is money? Because everyone thinks they know what money is, or there's nothing behind the US dollar, or one of the criticisms of Bitcoin, why would I have Bitcoin? There's nothing behind it, etc. And I would submit that every one of these forms of money, and others that are not here, do have something behind them. In fact, they all have the same thing behind them. It's the only thing that matters, which is confidence.
Money does not originate with governments. Money arises naturally as markets begin to develop. And as people with a division of labor realized that if I have eggs and you have a cow, we may need some medium of exchange in order for you to buy my eggs or for me to buy your cow.
Well, Bitcoin is a system based on mathematical truths, and these mathematical truths stand alone.
Regulators, the Federal Reserve, the banking system, at least understand this is a thing that they have to take seriously.
This is going to change the economic culture.
Bitcoin could be a microeconomic miracle worker, and it could be a macroeconomic wrecking ball.
It was a gift to the world.
It's not just a currency, but it's actually programmable money.
A potential curse on bankers.
And there's nothing that the big banks or politicians can do to stop it.
Breaking every government's grip on money supply.
When you've got a central bank digital currency, I can give you money directly. I can also give you a different rate of interest. Because I want to encourage you to save and me to dissave. You can give me negative interest rates to you positive interest rates. So we can use behavioral economics to run monetary policy and fiscal policy, which is a gigantic change to the world.
What the internet did for information, Bitcoin is doing for money.
So I think by 3 years, there'll be mass adoption. By 5 years, there'll be no cash. Bitcoin and gold offer us a life raft, a way out of this particular conundrum.
Could it be the new gold?
No, you have to really stretch your imagination to infer what the intrinsic value of Bitcoin is.
Bitcoin has been on a tear this year, rallying more than 150% and beating other assets, including the Dow Jones Industrial Average and gold. Is gold dead?
No, people miss the macro. I think our national debt is over $50 trillion. Don't quote me on it. So you think Bitcoin's going to cover that? You think silver is going to cover it? You think gold's going to cover that? So as gold goes down, to me, it's a buying opportunity. The same as when Bitcoin crashed, it was a buying opportunity. And so all you guys who are gold guys, just look at the biggest problem of all. It hasn't gotten any better. It's gotten worse since 2008. So as gold goes down, in my opinion, that's good. But the sleeper of all, as you know, I'm on Lear Capital, but Lear doesn't pay me. You know, I am sincere when I say I buy silver, because the biggest trend coming out, let's say America does go socialist or Marxist, which it is this Green New Deal. The Green New Deal is they're going to take the money away from oil and they're going to give it to capitalists who understand green energy. They're going to start giving their money to solar and all that, so solar is jumping and all this. So anything the communist socialists of America are backing is good for us. But that makes it for silver, because silver is used in, medicine, all that. So silver is still 50% off its all-time highs. So I see it as a fabulous time for silver, gold, and Bitcoin.
There are two purposes of money: a medium of exchange and a storehold of wealth. And Bitcoin is not effective in either of those cases now.
Store of wealth?
No, because first
potentially.
Of all, it's too volatile. Because of the volatility, you can't go next to it. Someday when it, I would say Libra or something which has more stable value, has got more potential. But also, who's going to do the buying? Central bankers and others. What are they going to hold as reserves? What has been tried and true? Are they going to hold digital Bitcoin? They're going to hold gold. That is a reserve currency, and it's been a reserve currency for 1,000 years.
The story of money is as old as civilization itself. When we lived in small tribes, keeping track of debt was easy. You owed somebody a load of firewood. A neighbor owed you a piece of meat. Credits and debits were kept in your head, a mental ledger. The digital age has fundamentally changed the world. We have embraced digitized music, film, medical records, communications, the internet. The free exchange of information and currency can fuel revolutions, help in a disaster. But our money is shackled to the 20th century, manipulated by governments and banks. The champions of Bitcoin ask us to imagine payments without a middleman, investments without a broker, loans without a bank, insurance without an underwriter, charity without a trustee, escrow without an agent, betting without a bookie, record keeping without an accountant, global, secure, nearly instant, and free. Is it fantasy or the future of money and commerce?